Hello, welcome to Movies Are Real for the month of October. Spooky, not really, Halloween's dead, so now we gotta be thankful. I'm thankful for this monthly movies podcast, where we once a month come here, gather, I can't keep it going, okay, alright. Once a month, we come over here, and we gather, and we talk about the movies of the month prior, and what we're looking forward to next month. I'm your host, George, me trying to make a Thanksgiving bit. It sounded too cheesy, so I couldn't commit to it.
You have committed it. That's important.
Here with Carrie Lyles.
Hello. I'm not thankful at all.
Oh, okay. And Ryan Lance.
Hello. I am thankful for this delicious LaCroix drink.
Nope, we're not sponsored
Movies
by
are real. Sponsored by LaCroix.
No.
Feel that foamy aftertaste.
That's how you. Okay, yeah. That's how you taste it. It's a feeling. Okay,
It's
never
a
mind.
feeling.
Never mind. I didn't see any movies in October. It turns out when I was making this document, but thankfully y'all did.
Thankfully, month of thanks. We did the work for you.
Okay, I'm so grateful that you were able to make up for my fucking incompetence. But yeah, we got a few stuff. We got a lot of spooky stuff, actually. I feel like last time we said there's not going to be a lot of spooky stuff, and there's some spooky stuff here. There's some fucking snowman. That's pretty scary.
Oh boy.
But before we get into that, let's go into a movie that you talked about last month, Ryan.
Yes.
You really enjoyed. Carrie, you finally saw it.
I did.
The big one, Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
I think I set it up last month, but in case you don't know what Blade Runner is, it's a pretty big, influential sci-fi movie of the mid-'80s with Harrison Ford, robots, what makes us human, fucking,
Bada bing, bada boom,
you know, existentialism, and they made a sequel to it, and everyone was like, why would you make the sequel to that? That's impossible. And then people really liked it.
But no one else saw it.
Oh, is that true? No, it's bombed?
Yeah, it bombed.
That makes sense, actually. I don't know what the fuck they were
The
thinking.
original one bombed,
They're-
so it all comes back. It all comes back around. It's just
They're
really
letting
unfortunate.
Dennis Villeneuve
Yeah.
make a Dune movie now.
Yeah.
That's gonna go well. Anyways, Carrie, you finally saw it.
Yeah.
And Carrie, you didn't seem too enthused about watching.
I had never watched Blade Runner. I still haven't watched the original one.
I gave her a wonderful synopsis.
Yeah, it's true.
By
You sat me
wonderful,
down in the theater.
off of memory from a movie I watched.
There's
a
a
long time ago.
rape scene in it? That's all I know about it.
Maybe in one of the cuts,
Okay.
not the one I watched.
Ryan, you didn't tell me.
That's all I know about it. There's some guy named Deckard. All right, so Carrie, what did you think of it?
It was pretty good. It was beautiful, and it was pretty moving, and I enjoyed it. Like, it's one of those things, me and Ryan were talking about this, I didn't really connect with it that much, so there's a bit of distance between me and it, but I am watching it and I'm like, wow, this is an amazing movie, and I enjoyed it from like a production look of it standpoint, and I like a lot of the ideas that it has, but it's a great movie.
Right.
I like it.
And so I guess the big thing is, since Blade Runner is so high concept, that I think a lot of the worry would also be that you're trying to make a new take on this, so you're going to come up... Like, it's hard not to make a sequel to Blade Runner and not be like, okay, I have to go auteur with this shit. I have to go big. I have to be like, here are my big ideas. Here's fucking, what's his bucket's face? God damn it. Joker from Suicide. Jared Leto being like, I make angels. And then he fucking sticks a domino up his ass or something. But yeah, it's good to hear that it was actually able to like have sort of the ideas that and actually deliver them and not sounding
like I'm telling you, like this is like what Mad Max was last year, where it's like disguised
2
as,
years
like,
ago.
Oh geez.
3?
2015.
Yeah.
2015, where it's like on surface it's like, oh, just a sci-fi thing, but if you like are able to look deep, it's like there's actually some stuff going on here that's like pretty like interesting and complex.
That's
and
coming.
you can talk about it for like a long time and rewatch it and enjoy things. And also like Mad Max Fury Road, visually it's just.
I was gonna say you didn't like Mad Max that much.
I
so
didn't, but I appreciate like other people's
Okay.
thoughts on it. Like it's fun to read other people's thoughts on it, even though I don't care for it that much. But I just don't like cars.
Right.
I think that's pretty
So-
exclusively it. But I also don't like robots. And these were really
So
good.
yeah,
God damn it.
speaking
God.
of the ideas that it. What are like the big themes, I guess, without spoiling the movie, that this movie presents? What are the big ideas? Are we still talking about our robots? What if robots could dream of fucking electronic sheep or whatever the hell? And what? Yeah.
It really is like an extension on the an extension and then like more on the original Blade Runner, where it's just like what is human or like what is life, as well as like it delves into like what like romance is and what like technology does to that, as well as like I guess like reading into things where like you think like maybe like you're unique when you're actually just still part of like this like system that's been like created to like destroy things and like use people, and like the whole world is really like around like these replicants who are, they're not essentially slaves still anymore. They still do like the shitty work.
As far as I understood, there was a revolution or something, an upheaval that happened, and now we're like in the aftermath.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
so.
much.
Okay.
Basically,
which is interesting.
In 2021 of this movie's universe, the original Blade Runner taking place in 2019, there was an event called, this is all explained in literally the opening title card. There's an event called the Blackout, where basically the replicants kind of like had this revolt thing, and they destroyed a lot of this electronic data from the time, huge electrical thing, and now in this future world, pretty much everything is like resorted back to like, it's still new and like futuristic, but parts of it are like weirdly retro. Like all the files are like physical now. Nothing is electronic because that's not safe anymore.
Right.
Which is really interesting. How like they're going to like retrieve information, and instead of just like pulling it up on a computer, they run down these long corridors of like these physical drives that they have to open up and like read a book, even though it's fucking 2049. And even in our modern ass 2017, not like post-apocalyptic future yet. We're so reliant on that, so it's just an interesting take on that future.
And I obviously didn't see it, so I'm gonna kind of like because this is a sort of a big movie in terms of like it's a big release, but also it's a very meaty movie. There's a lot of stuff in it. So I guess I'll let you guys. What are the things that you want to talk about from this movie that are like exceptional, or like the thing you took away from it that like when you think about it, you keep coming back to? I guess.
I think for Carrie it'd be the visuals.
Yeah, I really liked all the visuals, and
but is it delivered? Because it Ghost in the Shell was sort of a ripoff of Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner, and it felt very hollow. Is Blade Runner like more than like? Is there sustenance to it?
Because like when he's walking around I have realized in my own life that I have a severe inclination to movies with neon glow, and I love that. And so when he's walking around the city and there's ads projected everywhere, and there's like
Atari, it's back.
And it's just like the different vivid colors of all the different advertisements put over this gritty city. And then when he goes to the desert and it's just all bright orange and dusty and desolate, it's just like the everything feels really present and awesome and fleshed out. It doesn't feel like a facade. It feels like, man, this is rough.
Right.
And I love it.
Right.
And it feels like they're trying to, like, when you look at it, it's obviously layered because there's like the grittiness of it, and then they plaster over it with intrigue and advertisements and fanciness. But I don't know what I'm saying, but I just really like looking at this movie.
No, that makes sense, because Blade Runner, I feel like, I've never seen any of the movies, so I'm just assuming, but it always feels like, it's sort of like stuff is bad, but there's this facade to it, and it is very pretty, but also, like, if you just dig a little bit more, like, it's sort of, you see sort of the rot.
Yeah.
It's definitely, like, that's another, like, cool part, because, like, the movie is set place in Los Angeles, but, like, it's always, like, pitch black outside, where it's day and night, it's constantly raining in Los Angeles, so there's definite, like, when you think about, like, oh, what the hell has happened to this world where Los Angeles is constantly black and it's raining all the time?
Yeah.
Like, even, like, simple things like that is, like, what really happened to, like, get this world to that place? And that's part of, like, what gets me intrigued about it. While the original Blade Runner was very, like, focused on, like, one aspect of, like, the replicants and, like, what is it? Is replicants the same as people?
Right.
But this really, like, goes the next step of, like, of that direction, and, like, I really enjoy it.
So the performances here. Is there anything stand out? I'm assuming Jared Leto is not a standout.
Oh no, he is the worst part of the movie. He's in two scenes and it's miserable.
Again, I assume it's just him monologuing how like I created the angels, but what if I can't go on no more? What does it mean? Whatever. He's just fucking saying sweet nothings, pretending he's cool as shit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But yeah, is there anything really?
I will say though, even though he was in that one scene with the robot lady falling out of the like sleeve and she's covered in goo, I really liked that scene. Even though it was Jared Leto, that scene was awesome. So this movie made me tolerate Jared Leto.
That is high praise coming from this podcast. Like, I do like that scene on, like, all of his scenes, like, on the surface level, like, are good.
Yeah.
But, like, the way he delivers them is just so, like, almost cartoonish.
Yeah, and I think it's just the context of knowing who Jared Leto is and how he
Sure.
approaches acting.
100%.
So it's like, if you just saw this guy doing that performance, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's fine. But you know how proud of himself he is and how into his craft
I became this character for a whole year. I was blind just to get in this character.
Ooh.
But, yeah, pretty much every other performer really, like,
You were not kidding. This movie fucking bombed.
yeah, it's
Damn,
really
son.
unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks.
I think much like original Blade Runner, it'll do better, like,
Sure.
post that in,
Right.
like, Blu-rays and stuff, which is a shame because I feel like this is the big screen really highlights a lot of this movie's greatness. But yeah, Ryan Gosling, he does great. Harrison Ford, awesome. The main villain lady, fantastic. If you go into this movie thinking that Jared Leto is the villain, he's just like the puppet master to a character who is much more interesting and complex.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's significant other, very, very interesting, and some very stuff towards the end of like her arc is very like thought-provoking to me and interesting that I really appreciated.
Okay.
Good stuff here.
So, I guess like I said, before we move on, is there anything else from this movie we want to get out of our chest?
Watch the movie.
Yeah.
They've spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money.
This is interesting because now the narrative is flip-flopped because like for everyone who like liked Blade Runner was like this is just a soulish cash into fucking on the property, and now that it's sort of come out and we see the aftermath and the criticism is like, well, actually this is like a sort of fucking gift and miracle that it even fucking happened. Because I really do think someone like misfired, like really we're gonna put all our eggs on Blade Runner. All right, I mean Harrison Ford's hot. People like Ryan Gosling.
People really like scenes where Harrison Ford just like emerges from the darkness to reveal like his old character. Like it's me again. Ooh.
Well, with that, I guess we'll go into a movie that last podcast was like, I think this looks great. And everyone's like, it's gonna look Happy Death Day. I fucking love this movie. I will just say that right up front. This was the movie where she's in her birthday and she dies and then she wakes up and
Groundhog Day with murder.
Groundhog Day, no Bill Murray, no. Is Louise Dreyfus in that movie?
Probably.
Oh, anyways. Yes, Happy Death Day. Well, with that out of the way, saying that I like it, how did you guys feel about it?
Didn't see it.
Oh, what? Dang it. It's good.
We were gonna... It was like between like that and Geostorm, and then we were like, actually, we should watch Blade
Geostorm
Runner.
just makes me feel really bad.
I wanted to watch Geostorm.
Look, like
how did Geostorm do?
It bombed very hard.
Okay.
They had to like refill
Gerard Butler's got to pay that mortgage.
Most of the movie halfway through production.
Really? Why?
It was bad.
Oh.
And then they really salvaged it, if you ask me. But yeah, I was reading the review, and apparently it's just.
It did well domestically. I figured it would do well domestically. I don't know why. I just thought
people were like, I experienced this one Geostorm. Time to watch a real.
Okay, so anything. So I guess I'll make the case for Happy Death Day. So it is that main concept, of course, this sort of Groundhog Day, and the main character here, she's a bitch. She's a bad person. She's like she's really mean. She takes advantage of people. She obviously thinks she's hot shit. And through this fucking crazy, wacky turn of events, she fucking becomes a better person. But the road there is done. I think it's done very well. I'm trying to think. There's probably a good movie I could give it an analog to. Like it's not the best thing, but it's one of those 7.5 horror movies that like just really like you just leave out feeling really good. I mean, it's kind of tropey. It feels like a campy 80s slasher fic. But the pacing and the characters, it's just done so well and genuine. It never feels like they're playing archetypes, even though the main character totally is. Yeah. And then there's this main guy who he's in the trailers. He's the guy that wakes up next to her. He's like, yeah, ba ba da ba da.
He's like, happy death day, beautiful. And she's like,
that's exactly what it says. And he sort of serves as the person who helps her out throughout the whole thing. And the movie is basically every time she dies, she's trying to figure out who is the person who killed her. And so you would think that's most of the movie, but that really is just in a montage. And then the rest of the movie is moments where her character develops and where we learn stuff about her past, and how she changes and grows. Yeah. So a lot of that killing stuff really is only a montage. There's like 5 or big like death scenes where like there's the introduction where she's all like, "Oh, this is like deja vu. This is crazy," and then where it's just montage. She gets killed. I take off my clothes, whatever. I'm trying to think like what else to say about it, but man, It's just a really
surprisingly charming.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes. I walked it. I got what I wanted from that trailer. I was like, this looks competent. I felt from the trailer like this looks competent, and I think it's pretty well done. I think it's a good Halloween night movie, or it's
too late for that.
Yeah, too late for that. But it's like it's not too serious. It's like easygoing and it's fun. And in between you making goofs and jokes, you maybe get a little bit invested in it. And once the whole reveal of who the bad guy is like, oh, that person, it feels very much
Scrappy Doo.
It was Scrappy Doo. There we go. He was inside Rowan Atkinson the entire time. But yeah, I was really surprised. It's probably, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pulling for this one for top 10. But that's just because for me personally this year wasn't much. So, and like I said before we got into my quote unquote studio, that is my living room with my fucking
studio apartment. Look at all the soundproofing mesh on the walls. Damn it! There's none of that.
It is about the end of the year, and I think last year I had some ideas what would be like in the top 5, and this one I don't really have any idea where we're gonna go.
Me and Carrie have a full list already.
No, really? Yeah, I haven't been keeping track. I'm pulling for that Murder on Orient Express.
You've been keeping track since like the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
right?
I was just about to.
Yeah, we've had these conversations.
I started keeping track when I was
on my list.
If anything else, this is definitely one of my personal favorites of the year because I always like every year I hope that we get like a horror movie that I can walk away feeling like that's a good go-to that I can come back to and I had a great time. And there were some good horror movies like Get Out.
Or It Ends at Night, or
but it is definitely one of those, I would say for sure. It Comes at Night is definitely not like an easygoing horror movie.
Sometimes you want a horror movie that like you can watch again and you feel a little good even though everyone's dying.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about Happy Death Day. I have
57 movies on my 2017 list so far.
Power Rangers 2K17.
Oh man, that's near the bottom.
Guys in Stranger Things. Anyways, the Snowman.
Oh.
So the Snowman.
The oh no man.
What a fucking journey, the Snowman. What a story, the Snowman. Because we saw these trailers and the marketing. I'm like, this looks. I don't know. This looks like why? What is this? Who cares? And then it comes out, and then it becomes a fucking meme.
Yeah.
And then the stories of the production start coming out.
Bonkers.
How it's fucking bananas. This is like, what was that movie by the guy who directed Hard Drive? It was like The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is one of those infamous movies that was just fucking crazy. Like Marlon Brando was on the island just fucking shit. No, it was the director who got booted out of the movie and switched, and he was just on the set fucking like breaking shit. And I was like, yo, there's a fucking ghost. This place is fucking haunted. And Marlon Brando's just like fucking like torturing people. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But that's what this reminded me of. There's a movie that's like cursed. It's like everything is going fucking wrong. But yes, the Snowman. They just forgot to edit in parts of the movie.
There was I was reading some reviews after I had seen it, and there was this thing going around where people were like, yeah, apparently they just didn't film 10 or 15% of the script, and it's like, oh, so when you're watching this movie and it makes no sense and it just jumps around, and then you find that out, it's like, oh, so there's just parts of this movie that are actually missing.
Yeah, and
it's not a stylistic confusion choice. It's like they just left stuff out.
And of course, it also really feels like someone just picked up this seems like a good crime movie because it's a novel that's popular. It's like the 8th in a series or something.
Yeah. I saw someone say that.
And Val Kilmer's in it, and he had cancer at the time.
He had mouth cancer or something, so his lines weren't clear. So instead of like recasting him or something, they were like, we're gonna keep you in, but we're gonna have to like crudely ADR all of your lines. Ugh. So whenever Val Kilmer was on screen, it was just painfully clear that his lines.
Hello, I am Val Kilmer, here to tell you about the Snowman killer.
It's like we were laughing about it, and then you find that out, and it's like, oh god, that's really sad.
And on top of that, it's also a bad adaptation.
Yeah.
So, Carrie...
What really makes me sad about how it's a bad adaptation of what's apparently a good book is that the director of this movie directed one of my favorite movies of all time, Let the Right One In.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
And he has it
he handles winter well. Get him.
He got fucked on this one.
It was supposed to be someone else first. It was supposed to
be
it
was. It was Martin Scorsese, yeah.
It's weird because like that guy doesn't direct a lot of movies. He's not like one that turns stuff out. He like waits, and I think this was his first movie in like 6 years.
I'm back, guys. Ooh.
I'm back, guys, and I'm gonna finish this one. Oh.
But
so yeah, when I read that, I was like, oh
no. He got fucked on that one.
I was like, now I have to see it though.
So yeah, Carrie,
right.
What is there to say about the Snowman?
It's very weird.
Right.
I wish I had known more about the weird production before I saw it, because I was just sitting there bored most of it, being like, what is happening and why?
Right.
And
this movie about this detective,
Detective Harry Hole,
yeah.
and
there's a killer.
There's a guy. There's a killer.
Does he kill children?
No, he kills mothers who he doesn't see as like fit mothers or like not.
I'm screwed.
Not giving themselves fully to their family or something like that. And
so it's their own fault.
The thing is, like, is there anything actually interesting apart from the story that it is a disaster? Is it really just a boring thriller mystery?
Honestly, like it feels like the story and the way that it plays out feels like, as someone who watches a lot of Criminal Minds, I feel like this could have been done in a Criminal Minds episode, and it would have been.
It's certainly not an original setup at all.
But like, I don't know, and it is weird because I didn't know that it was
not finished.
Well, not finished, but also that it was an adaptation of a later book in the series. So you pretty much are thrown in there, and it's like Michael Fassbender's first scene is him waking up in a park, like drunk, and it's like, is he homeless? It's like, I don't understand. And you're just like, you're supposed to just already know that this guy, his life has fallen apart and there's all these things wrong with him, but they don't ever say it. He's just sad all the time and drinking and not on the police force, but he shows up anyway. And there's this other girl who becomes his partner, kind of, like his police partner, and they're investigating the Snowman stuff because the emphasis of all the marketing was the letters. I think
became a meme.
He opens one letter in the movie from the guy.
Is it the one I gave you all the clues?
Yeah. And they show more, like Val Kilmer was investigating the same case like 10 years earlier or something, so they keep cutting back to him, and he had gotten a letter, and but then there's like this other weird side plot where they're in like Oslo in some European country, I don't remember, sorry, but there's this weird subplot where they're contenders for the World Cup or something, and they want the big sports event to be there, and J.K. Simmons is in charge of that, but he's also like masterminding this like sex trade or something. Like there's this, but it literally is inconsequential to the whole story of the Snowman Killer. Like there's just this side thing where they go to this party that J.K. Simmons is hosting, and there's this guy who they kind of suspect might be a murderer.
Everything
or
is
something.
dark and mysterious.
Yeah, and he takes a girl there, and J.K. Simmons is just really awkward, and like the guy like takes her. The top of her dress down, and J.K. Simmons like snaps a picture and then walks away, and it's like I don't understand what's going on, and yeah, and it's like when it's like
at any
it's
point,
so
at any point,
I don't
could
know.
you?
I don't like if you were to ask me, so how did this movie end? I'd be like, it was the mom's boyfriend the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like because it starts off with him. Like, there's a snowman outside that he had made, and then his dad, but he doesn't know it's his dad, comes in and says he's never coming back, and then the mom kills herself, and then he blames the mom, and so then there's, like, all this shit, and he's, like, a plastic surgeon or something, and that's how he finds out about all these terrible moms, and then...
At any point, can you, like, see, like, what this could have been, or is it just not... Because, like, a lot of these, like, bad adaptations, you can see, like... if you look through, you can, like, see, like, okay, I get what it was supposed to do, but something was lost on the way that made it into this.
I mean, it's
clear disaster.
It's obviously something that there's so many people rallying around these books and saying that how great they are, and the way it was sold to me, like, that this movie was supposed to be, like, really gruesome or something, or a lot of gross stuff happens in the books, and there's some gore in the movie, but it's nothing cool.
We haven't seen already.
Well,
in,
yeah, and
like,
it's all like
movies.
it's all like CGI and weird and awkward, but. And yeah, and a lot of the edit, like, I am not a person who notices editing ever, really, usually. And there's some weird, awkward editing things and, like, bad cuts, and it's just an unfinished movie, so it feels weird saying how bad it is, but it's like they weren't. I feel like I didn't watch a final product.
We don't get a lot of unfinished movies.
Yeah,
we get a lot of unfinished like video games, but never like movies.
Sure.
It's really weird.
Even those are even recently, and those are fascinating. But it sounds like even from that standpoint, Snowman's not really fascinating.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but it's really pretty. There is a lot of cool nature shots, and there's some pretty cool bridges, but
I like the bridges.
The bridges are pretty cool.
So it sounds like more like the sort of mythos and joke around it is probably bigger than
way more interesting to learn how the ways this movie failed than actually like sit down and watch it.
Okay.
But,
well,
I don't know. Have at it if you want. Go for it.
If you're morbidly curious, which I kind of am.
Do it.
Oh, man.
How long is it?
It felt fucking long.
Okay, then I don't think I care. I'm good.
But I mean, that might have been just, as we've said before, just sitting in the theater, just being forced to watch it, and it's like.
Well, with that, back to the spookiness. And by spooky, I mean I've never felt that there was an aura of spookiness around this character and franchise, but Jigsaw. He's back, baby. Tobin Bell. He's still in this series, even though he's been. I mean, Jigsaw the character has been dead since fucking ever.
10 years he's been dead.
He's been fucking dead. And somehow there's a new movie, so I don't fucking know.
A movie that they were literally giving away tickets to.
Were they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. They're giving away.
If you went to their website, they gave you free tickets to the movie.
Oh, I want to see
which
the box
Carrie
office.
didn't
I
do.
didn't do it. Well, I saw you message me that, and I was like, no, whatever. Ryan's just being a jackass.
No, because I genuinely
click on it.
I genuinely sent you that because you said you wanted to see it. And I'm like, I'm going to save Carrie some money and be a good friend to my friend. And you're like, what a jackass. I'm going to pay double just to spite him. I'm going to buy 2 seats and really just relax in my recliner.
I don't think we'll see another Jigsaw, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So Jigsaw, so...
I like the lore around this movie. It was like, we really wanted to wait till we got a proper script before we made another Jigsaw movie in the fucking 8-part series that is this franchise.
Right. Which they wrapped up by canceling one of the other movies. I remember they ended it a lot sooner back when they killed it, which I don't even remember. Was it 2010, 11?
Not sure.
I don't even remember.
It was 2012.
Carrie, Jigsaw, what is there to say? I'm not going to ask you to tell me what the setup is because I don't know what the fuck happened in Saw 7, unless, or not even Saw 7.
Basically, the setup is bodies start showing up with jigsaw pieces cut out, and everyone's like, "It can't be him, can it?"
I gave you all the clues.
Then they find voice files and all this shit, and they're like, "Oh shit, John Kramer's actually back." And
is John Kramer the one who took over the mantle of Jigsaw?
No, John Kramer's Jigsaw's name.
Oh, you're right. For some reason, I was like, Tobin Bell, right?
Character actor Tobin Bell really got into it. Halfway through the franchise, he actually started committing murders.
So you tell me he's alive?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. They make you... These bastards make you think he's alive.
The Church of Jigsaw.
But, because everyone knows these movies are nothing without that guy. And,
they're really bad. And that's what I said when I said, like, the spookiness, because there's no, like, flavor or, like, aura to the Saw movies, apart from the first three, maybe. They're just movies.
Just douchey people getting hurt.
Yeah, and there's no, like... There's nothing around
you stole from the Walgreens. I'm gonna fucking kill you now.
You stole that LaCroix.
At least the Paranormal Activity movies had a framework.
You know delicious flavor in several delicious, such as passion fruit.
Right, Lance. You've spent your life stealing LaCroix. Now we're going to fill this barrel with LaCroix.
So is there anything here, Terry?
I don't know. It's kind of fun to laugh at, but, some of the traps are kind of fun, but...
Is Amanda... No, Amanda died in 3.
Yeah, Amanda's long gone.
No?
I wanted to like it more, but it's not... I feel like it's not as, like, wacky and stupid as, like, the Saw 6 and 7, which those were ridiculous, if I am remembering clearly. It's all haze, but, This one, it was fun, but the twist was just stupid, and it's a twist that they've used before, kind of.
You know what? Spoil it right now. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, so the entire time...
He's in the bathtub.
So the entire time you're following this, like, coroner... Well, not coroner. Like, these two people who work at the evidence place.
Yeah.
And it's this guy... and this girl,
uh-huh.
And you keep seeing the Jigsaw games happening, like the one from the trailer where they have buckets on their heads and they.
Oh yeah, is this happening like in the past and the game already happened, or?
It tries to make you think, because it'll be like, here's the game, and then the police will find the body.
Okay.
And then it's like another game, another body.
Anyways, continue.
And so like there's the bucket one, there's a needle one, there's
Classic.
Classic bear trap is back, right?
No.
Oh, I saw it in the trailer though.
Wait, what bear trap?
The reverse bear trap thing where it smashes on their head.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's there. They don't use it.
Oh, okay. What a
but-
cop-out piece of shit. I've been waiting 5 years on this franchise I don't watch.
Let Carrie spoil the movie.
They actually use that thing in like 6 or 7, I don't remember, but not in this one. But so you find out they keep. Okay, anyway, so they keep finding the bodies, and there's this guy and this girl who are processing the evidence, and the cops start suspecting this girl, and so does the guy, because she's kind of quirky and weird, and she's like into Jigsaw. Like, they look at her computer history, and she's like been looking at Jigsaw forums and stuff, and they're like, but so. Then eventually they come to the conclusion that it's this head cop guy who has orchestrated this whole thing, because they find like Jigsaw flesh pieces in his freezer, and he's all of the bodies that are turning up are from cases that he'd been involved with. And so the entire time the people are progressing through this farmhouse basically. And there's all these different things, and they keep getting picked off one by one. Each room, they lose someone, and then I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like fully embody this twist when it comes out. Basically, the twist is that because you go to this girl has a studio and she's got all these jigsaw traps and all these stuff from other movies that she has collected because that's her hobby. And then there's this big blender looking thing. It's like a big spiral tube, and the guy's like, well, what's this about? And she's like, oh, I actually built that myself. I found plans from these games from a long time ago. So games that took place before Saw 1, basically. And so then the people go into the last room and you see that machine and you're like, oh, like at first I was like, because they never found any bodies that would go with that, like the injuries would be concurrent with that machine. And so then Jigsaw, the last two people are in this room, and they're chained up, and this guy walks in with the hood up, and then hood goes down, and it's Tobin Bell, and you're like, oh my god, he's fucking alive. And then he does this whole setup thing where he's like, here's the key to your escape, and he loads one bullet into a gun and sets it there, and there's a girl and a guy. The girl... There's some ridiculous shit, but the girl was Jigsaw's neighbor at one point, and she lied about her kid being... She framed her husband for killing her son, basically. And then there's this other guy who's just been an asshole the entire time, and he lied about this car accident that caused his friends to die when it was his fault, but he said that it was his friend's fault. And so then he's like, this is the key to your escape. And the guy doesn't have a leg at this point. He lost his leg earlier. And the girl's like, I have to kill you. And then Jigsaw had said, you've been going about this the wrong way. So when she shoots him, the bullet actually backfires and shoots her. And then he gets the keys out of the bullet, because Jigsaw was like, here's the key to your escape. When he puts so you're like, oh wow. And then the cop had been encroaching on this with the coroner guy and girl. And she got lost at some point. So it was... You go back and you're in that same room, and it's the cop has been doing all this, or so you think, and the coroner guy, and then you find out that the coroner guy was actually working with Jigsaw the whole time. So it's another twist where it's like, actually, this guy's been working with Jigsaw, because he was in the original games, and then you find out the games that you've been seeing were actually the ones that happened 10 years ago before any of the movies, and then this guy had been recreating them off screen. So the bodies that you see coming into the cops are not the bodies from the original thing. He recreated the whole thing, and with people that are from cases that this cop guy had been involved with, to frame him, to make it all look like he did it. And it's just like I'm probably not explaining it well enough, but it's the same thing. It's like the twist is, actually, these aren't happening now, but they are happening now. It's just like, these aren't the bodies you thought they were. These are actually new bodies, and this stuff happened 10 years ago, before Jigsaw, even before Saw 1, and it's like...
Okay, why so convoluted?
It's very convoluted, and I watched a review that was like, so you're trying to... And the cop that he was trying to frame, the coroner guy, because the coroner guy was a nurse, and he, earlier in the movie, Jigsaw alluded to there was a mistake made with his x-rays, and this guy put the wrong name on the wrong x-ray, otherwise his cancer would have been found sooner. And then you find out that guy was in the original games because Jigsaw put him in there because he fucked up his x-rays. And then Jigsaw was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna kill you over a simple mistake like that. I'm a very highly moral person, me, Jigsaw. I don't kill people, remind you. But so it's just another twist where it's like, actually, this person was taken under Jigsaw's wing the whole time, and he's been orchestrating this. But it's very...
Okay.
it's a lot of setup for not.
This seems like a
great
thing.
twist.
Yeah.
And also, he's trying to frame this cop guy, and he's in this trap at the end with this laser thing that fillets the cop's head, and it's like, won't it be a little weird when the guy you've been trying to frame for all these murders ends up dead? It's like, so...
It's interesting. Do they think that... Do the people who made Jigsaw think there's still a high... That there is a reverence for Saw? Because I feel like a lot of the people like horror. Like, there's Hellraiser, there's Jason. I don't think people actually really have a...
I think there's people who do.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I've seen lots of
Okay.
people being like, this sucks, but I love these movies so much. So it's like, I mean, I support that. That's
It's
fine.
just like I said earlier, before we started the discussion, I just have no... Like, there's no mystique around
Yeah.
the Saw movies for me whatsoever.
It's not as wacky fun as some of the other ones, and it's not actually good like the first one. So I don't think any of them.
It
are
sounds
ever
like
good.
this plan maybe I assume they wanted to make this like we're gonna keep making these. I think this plan might be dead in the water.
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, I mean, especially since it didn't make any money, that would have been the thing. They would have kept on making them, but
Yeah.
Maybe not giving away tickets would have given them more money.
they did the same thing for the Power Rangers movie. They just tried giving those away.
Yeah.
It's interesting though because Lionsgate sort of exists now as a giant entity because of the Saw movies. I think that's the most interesting thing about the Saw movies to me. But yeah, speaking of people of iconic film, fucking.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about Curse of or Cult of Chucky. Curse
Cult
was
of
the
Chucky.
old one, the one before
Yeah.
this one, right?
That came out in 2013, I believe.
Yeah, and people told me that one was good.
It is good. It's very... that movie, Curse of Chucky, is basically several years later, there's this family that lives in this house, middle of nowhere-ish, and then this Chucky doll is delivered there, and it kind of like replays a lot of the steps from the first Child's Play movie, where it's like, is this doll alive? And like, we all
okay.
obviously know that doll's alive because
Right.
we've seen the movie.
And then you turn out the doll is alive, and if you're like me, I'm like, I just wish the doll wasn't actually alive, actually, and it would be more interesting if the girl was crazy, but anyways, yeah.
But yeah, and in that movie, well, another thing about that movie, Curse of Chucky, is what makes it interesting is the new lead character is this woman, psychology student who is wheelchair bound, and her struggle with Chucky is made a lot more interesting because of her perspectives on life and her dealing with her disability.
And is this main character in this one as well?
Yes, she's the new main character. She's the main character again. She is put in a insane asylum because people believe that she, killed all of her family in this house 4 years ago, and she's blaming this doll, and obviously people are like, oh, you're crazy. And she's in this insane asylum that's very weird. This movie altogether is like very weird, and like, and I'm like, Ryan, these movies are about talking dolls. It's like, even for this franchise, this is weird. So the whole plot is she's in this insane asylum. And then she's trying to deal with her, like, she has this like weird PTSD about Chucky dolls. Obviously, you saw a giant like killer one, and then one gets given to her as like, we're gonna use this Chucky doll that I found on the internet to help you with your rehabilitation.
What is with movies and plot lines doing that? I don't know what the thing I saw recently was like, hey, this fucking traumatic thing happened in this house or whatever. Oh, it was Psycho 2. It was Psycho 2. I saw Psycho 2 where they're like, Norman Bates, just go back to the house. It's fine. Here, girl, have Chucky again. It's fine. Anyways, go ahead.
But then even more layers to that. A weird Chucky doll is just flat out delivered to the insane asylum again. People are like, oh, it's another one. And like, some Chucky stuff is going on, and like
Some
it's a little
Chucky stuff
weird.
is
So it's
going
like,
on.
which one of the dolls is alive? Are they both alive? What the hell's going on here? Because clearly we see stuff happening. There's a whole sequence where she tries to kill herself, and then she wakes up and she has these weird stitches on her arm, and there's like fucking fingerprints in like the pool of blood that she
Is the
left.
call coming from inside the house? Is someone...
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And then like, and the thing is like, you can't die without me killing. I'm Chucky. Blah. Pretty much that. She's like, oh, one of the dolls are evil, and a lot of the people in the asylum are crazy, but like it feels so like you're making fun of people with disabilities.
Yeah.
'Cause
So it's someone in the asylum, a Chucky person. Like, what's the title? From the title, I'm trying to figure out. Is there a group of people?
do you want me to spoil?
I guess
the
not.
movie?
I'm kind of interested in it. But to the point, Ryan.
But another thing that I remembered is there's a post-credit scene in Curse of Chucky. Actually, there's 2 post-credit scenes because, Marvel. In like a mid-credit
Sure.
scene,
What?
in a mid-credit scene, Chucky kills this woman and puts his spirit inside the body of a 7-year-old girl. Like, he successfully does that.
Oh, okay.
But then after that, after the rest of the credits, Andy from the original movie, grown up, it's the same actor. He like gets a thing in the mail, and it's the Chucky doll, and he's like, "I'm back for it, Andy," and he just fucking shoots him in the head, and he's like, "Playtime's over, bitch." I think that's what he says. And like that's a very fun like thing because it's like there has been.
Wait, so there's 2 Chuckies then?
That's the plot of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Do you care if I spoil it? Because it's kind of interesting. And the movie, like in my opinion, this movie's you have to be like really into the Child's Play films to like really like care about it.
No, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. But that is interesting though, that because these movies aren't made by like just people. As far as I understand, these people just aren't made by like a studio. These are made by a group of people who are really passionate about Chucky.
It's pretty much the guy who made Chucky.
And they got the
originally.
license from Universal.
He has it now, and he basically just makes these movies as like his passion because he cares
Okay.
about the character. And I admire that a lot. It's just and like these movies have a lot of fan service for that, but also the Child's Play franchise, like there's a very weird like group of people who are like, this is it.
Yeah, it's true.
Because like in the time it was like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and then Child's Play was just kind of in the corner there. I mean, I always enjoyed them as a kid, but I was terrified of dolls. That's what
Me
like,
too.
got
And then
me
I
into
rewatched
it.
them, and I was like, these movies are just really cheesy.
I think the first 2 hold up.
I think the
pretty
first one's really good.
Yeah.
And then I think the whole series goes off the rails as soon as they put Chucky in the title.
Yeah.
Personally.
Bride of Chucky and then Seed of Chucky. They kind of retconned a lot of Seed of Chucky.
I remember he just made him like a South Park character who's like really horny and like.
The one weird part is in both Curse and Cult, as you know in Seed of Chucky, the Jennifer Tilly doll puts her spirit in actress Jennifer Tilly. Because in Bride of Chucky, Chucky has this girlfriend who's played by
I remember
Jennifer
this.
Tilly,
Yeah.
and then she's put in a doll that looks exactly like Jennifer Tilly. But then in Seed of Chucky, she meets actor Jennifer Tilly and puts her soul in Jennifer Tilly. And then like in this world, Jennifer Tilly exists and is still an actor, but is also like this like psychopath
Yeah.
who looks and sounds just like her. It's weird. And in both Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky, she's back. And she's just like a side character who's like doing things. Like she's the one who like mailed a Chucky doll to the asylum, and she kills a guy in Curse of Chucky. I can't remember exactly why. The no talk of like their kid that they had for some reason. But yeah, without spoiling the big plot turning thing, it's interesting. Although it's kind of like okay, like. There it is, and then it's like, okay, that kind of is weird, and then it just kind of like moves on from there. And yeah, there was a lot of great reviews on this, and
People really like it.
and I'm honestly having a hard time understanding that because it feels it's a very B movie in like the not fun ways for me.
To be fair, Chucky has kind of always been a B movie.
That's true.
The first one is a little bit more serious, I think, but
Yeah. Like, a lot of the main death scenes are, like, gory for the sake of, like, gory, even though, like, the logistics of it are, like, nonsense. Like, he blasts open a ceiling roof and glass comes falling down, and instead of, like, just being cut up, this woman, like, gets slaughtered into pieces everywhere. Like, pieces of her just go fucking everywhere. And then also the stuff with how they handle, like, the people... Like, Curse of Chucky, I felt like did a good job, like, dealing with this woman's physical disability of the wheelchair. Like, as well as, like, a movie about a killer doll could. But this movie, they really just, like, you're really just making fun of people with mental disabilities. Because, like, one of the women in there, like, she lost her child, and she's, like, and she thinks one of the Chucky dolls is, like, her kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
yeah,
a killer
that's
doll.
lazy, yeah.
And it's, yeah, and then there's another person with multiple personality disorder, and it does that even worse than Split did. Yeah.
Split, man. Everyone keeps bringing that up as one of the best movies of the year. I'm like,
No.
ooh.
So yeah, it's for free on Netflix. So,
Yeah, it launched on Netflix before it came out in physical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although if you want to see the other post-credit scene,
You gotta get the physical.
you gotta get the physical. Even though I saw it online, I had to Google it because I didn't get it.
Oh.
It was the babysitter from the second movie.
I vaguely remember. Is that the one where he goes to camp? One of them goes
the
to
third
camp.
movie is when he goes to camp.
Okay.
The second movie is his mom is in an asylum and he is in this foster family.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyways, Chucky, he's back.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been pretty fond of Chucky. Like you said, for me, he's kind of like.
I still like the first two movies. They're not great.
No.
They're charming in a way.
I still think Child's Play, the concept of the doll maybe not being haunted is a lot cooler and scarier than
It kind of ruins itself by having the introductory scene of that movie being him put his soul in the doll. Like maybe if she saw that on the news and he was like apparently he did this thing. It's like, oh, that's weird. I got this doll from this crazy guy behind the supermarket. Ain't that fun?
Yeah, Child's Play really feels like a thing that maybe shouldn't have been a big deal at any point. It feels like...
I don't know. The guy's clearly passionate about it. And
No, I'm saying
yeah.
But it feels like, because we watched that movie, it feels like a very cheap thing they just think they're just going to put out. I don't think anyone had any idea they're going to make this is sort of a pop culture thing. But anyways.
The doll walks around pretty good. The CGI of the doll is good.
Speaking of horror icons, I guess, that I don't give a fuck about, and they still...
Speaking of movies that you
Speaking
can watch
of
for free.
Bits. This fucking bit, we can finally lay this one to fucking rest. Probably the longest running bit next to Rings from this podcast. The Amityville Awakening finally fucking came out. Kind of.
It was given away for free on Google Plus for the month of October. I believe you can't get it for free anymore.
No, you can't.
The window is... Yeah, I got it early. Carrie, we both watched this. I watched this movie when I was recovering from a medical issue I had, and I was not in a very.
There were some things.
I was live texting Carrie my reactions, and I was very much.
I wonder if I can find that.
I was very much on drugs still when I was watching that movie. I was much more sober when I watched it again with Carrie later, but man, it did not hold up.
Yesterday.
So basically, the plot of the movie.
Oh god.
2014, the year it was filmed. Basically, this family moves into this house, this creepy old house. Bella Thorne, high school student. Yeah, she's goth. She's been through some stuff. We'll get into that later.
This is the thing, before I start, the problem with remaking, even attempting an Amityville movie, we always talk about here in this podcast, movies that were, they were, the bedrock that other movies were made from. And, the Amityville is, the most, fucking basic fucking setup for a horror movie. And so remaking it is just, a fool's errand. How are you going to make it interesting? Go on.
So,
they're in a house. It's
Bella
spooky.
Thorne, she has a twin brother who is in this vegetative state, and they're moving into this home to be closer to the hospital. Sounds a lot like other movies, doesn't it? Anyways, then some spooky stuff starts happening.
Ryan Reynolds.
And by spooky stuff, I mean just some windows are open and people have some weird dreams. And also there was a horrible murder committed in this house. And the mother did not mention it to anyone. My favorite part is how
the house was cheap.
When are you going to tell me, Mom? My favorite part, and I've told Kira this many times, is how Bella Thorne discovers about this house. She goes to school and all the kids are oh, look at her. I'm drawing a penis on her locker or whatever. She's whatever.
She's got on dark lipstick. What a weirdo.
But she goes to class and this is the new girl, and this one fucking douchebag, I like women kind of men. I respect them, you know what I mean?
I get it.
That's what I'm all about. Why don't women like
the
me?
women respecter has logged on.
He's they're not making fun of you, they're just your house. And she's ugh, stalker much. No, we all know about your house. And she's okay. And then she like fucking like whatever's it. And then like later like more weird stuff happens in the house. Like the dog is like barking at weird things and like she's having weird nightmares.
Jesus Christ.
So she Googles the house at school and is like, there was a murder in this house? And then the same like I love respected women guy shows up and he's like, it's the Amityville house. Don't you know? And he pops out the DVD of the Amityville horror out. It's like, you need to do your research on what happened in your house. So not only do we live in the universe where this happened, but we live in the universe where this happened and the fucking movie got made about it. Which is another problem because Bella Thorne is like this gothic, like...
She has no idea.
She has no idea. She has all these posters in her room, which were like set up before she even like went into her room, of like just dark stuff. So you would like imagine.
You would assume that she would have
It's
some
got like the
sort of...
Bagul and how to summon a Bagul.
This was before Bagul, probably.
Well,
and it's like weird because like she doesn't like get it.
She'd never seen a horror movie before. I don't know. Maybe that's just because like when she was like, I've never heard of that movie. I was like, but she's like gothy. Don't gothy people like horror movies? I don't understand. I don't understand her character.
And then the callback to the funny joke of him, you know, he just has the Amityville horror DVD in his backpack at all times. I guess
Is it the remake or the original?
it's the original.
Well, George.
We'll get to it. Later, him and his female friend, he's like, this is my girlfriend. And she's like, no way, you wish. They're like, we need to watch the Amityville horror in the Amityville house at 3:15
or whatever.
because that's the time when he killed everyone. She's like, okay, you guys. So they break into their own house. It's like, I've never been in the house before. I can't believe I'm watching the Amityville horror in the Amityville house. It's like, bitch, you could say that about literally any movie. You know what, George? I've never watched The Shawshank Redemption in your apartment. When am I ever going to get the opportunity to do that? You know what I mean, George? It's crazy. So they sit down and they're watching the movie, and he's like, "I got the Amityville horror. I got Amityville horror 2, but it's technically a prequel. I don't know if you guys
I don't know if
are
you're into that."
And then I, of course, got the 2005 remake, and the girls are like, like remakes
suck. No, not the
remakes. So shut up. He's like, yeah, you're such a piece of shit. This is. So they're watching. So you know they watch Amityville horror in the Amityville horror house. Oh my God, George. Literally the only thing they could have done is give this movie away. Like, nothing about it is, like, good or interesting. And I'm just saying, like, the jokes of it. Like, and, like, the plot is, like, we've seen the plot before. Like, the brother's in a vegetative state, and he's suddenly, like, getting better. And the mom is like, oh, it's a miracle. Yeah. And she's like, you don't think it's a little weird? And she's like, you just slap my daughter in the face. You don't get it. This is your fault. And then, like, the brother eventually gets, like, weirdly better, and he's, like, talking to her. He's like, help me. You gotta kill me. There's a Bagul in me. And she's like, I don't want to do it.
Kill you. Kill me. Kill me.
Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. And there's a funny scene where he's talking to the ghost, so he's typing in his weird computer, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
And it's like, oh, man.
Like, that's a lot of effort to type that with your eyeballs. You know that, kid? And then, you know, it possesses him, and he's the weird ghoul man. He's like, I'm the ghoul. The CGI is terrible. And then he kills it, and they get away, and it's like, bleh, and the movie's terrible. There's nothing good about it. There's no good detail. Bella Thorne spends half the movie in her underwear. It's weird. I don't get it. There's nothing here. There's nothing. But it is available for free.
Or at least it was.
It was, but let's be honest here.
Like I said,
Everyone picked up on this deal when it was
There is
available.
nothing. There is no spark. There is nothing. If you try to start a fire with the Amityville horror ingredients, you'd get nothing. Like, it's been done to death. What are you gonna do? Like the only thing you could do is like a parody. Like
This movie is almost a parody.
It almost
They make fun of like they show up the movies.
But then they still play it straight, right?
Yeah, and it's also like the guy who's like into the Amityville horror. It's like, what horror fan is like, this is my franchise? Like, we all have like franchises we care about, but it's like, who the hell is like Amityville? That is the series I know everything about.
And it's something about the Amityville horror that's like also it upsets me because it's not that far fetched. It's just a guy just killed his fucking family in the house. Like, ooh,
That's
spooky.
it.
Like, okay, let's
A
kind
demon told him to do it. Ugh,
Yeah, it's like, that's not fun.
demon tells me to cry in the shower every day. It's called my personality. Get over it, Jesus.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Uh,
And it's, I don't know, man. There's nothing going on in this movie. And, like, I'm really curious still, because, like, I'm watching this and I don't get why it was delayed so
what
much.
took 4 years?
Was it the fly scene? Did they have to
Yes.
animate
All
those
the maggots.
All the maggots? Which is also, like, why didn't he tell the family about the... Like, we've seen that scene before. Like, he lifts up the vegetative brother and it's like, there's a bunch of maggots and flies. Like, whoa! And then all the flies zoom into his mouth and he's like, whoa! And then he just leaves. They'll be like, hey, you should probably get his back cleaned up because there's literally, like, dead stuff on it. I know he's pretty much dead already, but, you know, for your sanity,
Well, I
maybe.
think that was supposed to be a demonic vision that the doctor was having. I don't think the maggots were actually there, Ryan.
so it sounds like Bella Thorne's Twitter account's more enjoyable than this.
I guess
this
so.
movie.
Bella Thorne really killing it. Like
She's
all
in The
these-
Babysitter? Does anyone know anything about this film? What is this?
I saw it on Netflix and I saw her because she's in
Oh,
the
right, it is
picture.
on Netflix, you're right.
She's in the picture that is like when you're scrolling the picture that you see, and I was like, why do we insist on putting Bella Thorne in things? Leave
She
her
has
out.
she has a huge following on Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'm told. I don't follow her because I don't care. The movie's bad.
Well, I'm glad we were able to finally
We
put...
finally put an end to this chapter of our lives.
We say goodbye to the ghosts.
Be ready to hear more about Amityville on our top 10 list.
Yeah.
We'll be charging through.
Anyways, well, that was October. A lot of weird shit that just kind of existed there. November, you would think, well, actually, usually it's after the summer, there's sort of a lull, and it's usually December is a lot of, and November is Academy Award-winning stuff, and then Christmas movies.
So it's hard to like really know like what's like
Yeah.
is good out there.
It's not. It's also it's hard to know what you're expect unless you're like keeping your eye on like what's coming on. Sometimes it's a big holiday season for movies, and sometimes it's just some small stuff. Thor Ragnarok is one of the big movies coming in November. Did you guys see it? Ryan, you saw it, right?
I did see
Yeah.
We
it.
won't talk about it this episode, but I'll say what I would hope Thor Ragnarok would give me, and is it just anything because I have no feeling for Marvel movies. So no Kenneth Branagh. So
Look, man, I'll just tell you, you can really tell that Taika Waititi really like put forth an effort and like tried to make something that felt like the James Gunn does a good job in like bringing out a lot more like the fun comic book elements in like the Guardian series, you know. But I feel like Taika Waititi does a lot better with that. Like you can really tell like the fun aspects of it, and it feels like such a like standalone like adventure that's like
okay.
enjoyable.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay, so I guess we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Then, that must be the. I heard that director is very attractive. That's all I know about that guy, and that he's talented, but also he's very attractive because
his pictures, didn't he have his pictures and stuff?
yeah, I did. Because I was like looking at this guy, I was like a lot of people like he had some GQ spread that people were freaking the fuck out about. Anyways, a movie that carries. Actually, I'm looking forward to this as well.
Yeah.
Next week. I wish I was watching this instead of Thor next week. Because I have to watch Thor next week. Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes.
What if this movie's not good, Carrie?
I'm gonna be sad. I feel like it's not gonna be
Yeah,
good.
I
I was telling Ryan this the other day. I'm like, that movie's
It
gonna
might
bad,
be good,
man.
but it might not live up to our Clue expectations.
Oh my god, I love Clue so much.
Yeah, so you kill some time, Carrie. How excited you are, so I can quote the star-studded cast. The stars. The night sky is black and empty because all the stars are in Murder on the Orient
Are on
Express.
this train.
Yeah.
Dude. Well,
There's
first
a murder
off,
on a train.
Kenneth Branagh, that man is ridiculous, and
Yeah.
I love him. And I
That's why honestly this movie might be good because he cares about stuff.
yeah,
you know?
he does. He cares about stuff. That's true. He's a very passionate man, in all aspects of his
And
life.
I feel like if you're making this movie, you have to like care about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like something like the studio went to him like, we want you to do this movie, like they did with Thor or Cinderella. I feel like this was like, you know what? I would like to do this because I like this
he
book
was
or
like,
the other
"Excuse
films.
me,
I
I am
don't-
Agatha Christie's biggest fan."
I want you to put me
Well, he's-
on that
he's-
train.
Kenneth Branagh has had a very literary movie career because
Right.
he did Frankenstein and Hamlet.
Yeah, Hamlet. I was gonna say Macbeth, but no, that's
I don't
Hamlet.
think he did Macbeth, but yeah. So now we've moved on to Agatha Christie novels.
Right.
And I read this book and I really liked it. It was enjoyable, but there's a weird disconnect for me with the book because the book seemed, maybe I just wasn't reading it correctly, but the book seemed rather kind of, it was intricate, but it was also kind of subtle. And then when you watch the trailers, it's like, Imagine Dragons, the train's gonna crash,
Yeah, that's
everything's on
weird.
fire,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like,
Like, that's because they have
the
to
marketing
market.
is
Right.
really,
yeah,
really
it's really
bad.
weird, but well, I fucking love that trailer where it's going through the car and all the names are popping up.
Oh, yeah,
on
that
people.
one's
And
really
the
good.
Imagine Dragons.
Well, the Imagine Dragons is still weird. I don't know who chose that, but
That song is hot right
I'm
now.
so excited for this
Every
movie.
18th song on the radio is
Is
that
Imagine Dragon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a interesting story,
Yep.
and I enjoyed the book, and I am just ready to
William
be dazzled.
Dafoe, Daisy Ridley, Judi Dench, Penelope Cruz.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Josh Gad.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah, he is in it. Right.
Eee.
For some reason, I got less excited because now the reality of it maybe not being that good. So then-
I still have hopes.
Okay.
I'm still really excited for it, but
No, me too.
I'm trying to be realistic.
I
George,
think they have-
after you watch Amityville: The Awakening, your hopes for every other movie go up like a rocket. Okay.
It has to be at least interesting.
Yeah,
I think it'll be interesting at least. I mean,
And-
it's a murder mystery
and
on
even-
a train
even if
with
it's,
no snowman.
No, that's true.
even if it's bad, we'll get Kenneth Branagh acting with his mustache.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted.
Anyways, A Bad Mom's Christmas.
No. Next.
Mila, does Mila Kunis not want to act? Because she's only done Bad Mom's Christmas, and she does that advertisement for the whiskey that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I like Mila Kunis. But
Mila Kunis is
yeah.
fine.
I love Family Guy.
oh, god damn it, yeah, that's true. Anyways, Daddy's Home too. What's with all these sequels too?
There's mommies and daddies, everything.
Ah,
Everyone gets.
Fuck me.
If you're a fan
God
of
damn.
moms, dads, trains, this is the month for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember Office Christmas Party?
Yeah, I
Man,
do.
we really had nothing else to watch that day, did we?
God, Jesus
That movie
Christ.
was dumb.
That was a very good cast. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna be saying that about Murder on the Orient Express.
Would you be Daddy's Home too?
Yeah, Mel Gibson, finally.
John Cena's in it too.
Oh yeah.
This doesn't come out in November, but I put it on here because I think it's showing now. The Florida Project near us. William Dafoe, director, and has a director of Tangerine. Did any of you folks see Tangerine?
Nope.
That was a all right movie.
Is it the iPhone one, or is that?
That's the iPhone one.
Oh, okay.
That's the iPhone one with the transgender prostitutes, and it was an interesting movie. It was, the colors and the sort of grittiness of it was really good. I think maybe it's because it was captured on iPhone that maybe that sort of comes through, but it's interesting. It's also weird to see William Dafoe like in this like he's like this moving, lovable character. Like everyone says like, oh, William Dafoe is such a moving performance in this film. I was like, I like William Dafoe a lot, but I guess I haven't really had that sort
Ever
of
been
praise.
moved by him?
Yes, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's a thing. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is a film you're really excited for, Carrie.
Yeah.
Director, what's the director of this?
Lobster.
Yes, but what was his name though?
Lobster.
Okay.
I don't remember. We talked about this last episode because I thought it was going to come out this
Right,
month.
but it's at least
It
showing in
came out
our
limited,
area.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Need to get on that.
I know.
I'm too
really
scared though, because
I
what
know,
if
I'm
it
so scared.
sucks?
I'm so scared of deer.
The Lobster, they're showing that for free near the Alamo. God, the
I like that movie so much.
I've seen the trailer because I saw the trailer after you mentioned it in the last podcast when we went to go the Alamo. I forgot what we saw. And they showed the trailer and I was like, this looks cool. This looks really cool. But also, I really, really did not like The Lobster. Really did not like it.
I loved The Lobster.
I know. But as someone who maybe wants to watch this movie, the idea... It was like when we watched The Ghost Story and it just started and...
As soon as it started.
Yeah, it starts and you're like, oh no, I gotta fucking go right now, actually. It was like a minute 5 of just watching the fucking dead whoever, what the fuck his face was.
Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck. I was gonna say Ben Affleck.
From the Muppets.
Anyway.
I love A Ghost Story.
Speaking of A24, their films, some that was on those I just remembered. Lady Bird.
Oh yes, I know nothing about this. I've only heard good things about it.
It looks like indie Edge of 17.
Yes, and I love that.
Edge of 17. Remember that?
That comes out in November as well.
It's got
hopefully in our area.
It's got Susie Salmon in it.
I don't know who that is.
Well, that's not her name. That's her character in The Lovely Bones.
Oh, okay. I don't know any of these folks.
Was that Ansel Elgort?
No.
Oh, that looked like him.
I was for the clarifications for the audio podcast. I was showing them a.
Am I gonna have to fight against Baby Driver on the top 10?
It's in my top 10.
Ah,
It's not
man.
mine.
We'll have these conversations eventually.
Why are you guys hating on Baby Driver? What the fuck?
It's so.
Have you guys watched
Baby
it? Have you
Driver-
guys watched it a second time yet?
No.
I saw it a second time in a theater. I swear, I saw it a second time in a theater. I
I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen it a second
And?
time yet.
I still don't like it.
I think it was better when.
It's 14 on my list, Carrie. How about that?
Fuck. I think it's like 6 on.
Anyways, Ryan, tell me about Wonder. I like the poster. That's all I know about it is the poster.
Wonder
cool.
is about a child with he's had a lot of surgeries from like a face deformity.
Okay.
And
Is that why he wears the astronaut hat in that poster?
And the whole point, and the point of the movie is just him dealing with his this physical disability that he has and his let's say unusual physical deformity, dealing with children and like harassment and like feeling out of place and out of touch in the world. And it's supposed to be a fun, happy, hopeful movie about being yourself and loving yourself.
Yeah.
And Owen Wilson is his dad, and I feel like that takes away all the hard work.
And they got Jacob Tremblay for this? Like the Room Kid?
I don't think so.
It is the Room Kid.
It is?
Which is weird. It's a movie about a kid who's like, and we got the kid.
Oh, that would make sense if it was
the Room Kid.
You mean Room. The Room is...
Oh, sorry. I wasn't saying the Room as in the titular room. Right.
You're thinking of Room with Brie Larson.
With Brie Larson, yes. Not The Room, no.
The Room, that movie is very old now.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why you thought.
You
Yeah,
know
they
the
got
kid
the
from-
kid from The Room.
He's back, and he's playing a kid again.
Owen Wilson is my dad.
Yeah, I feel
But it just
like,
seems like a sort of a nice movie.
Yeah,
nice,
I don't know.
heartwarming
Like, I
film.
feel like it's just going to be very, like, lackluster.
Okay.
Just because, like, it's trying to hit these beats, and I feel like it will just, like, barely
It's
hit
Owen
them.
Wilson and Julia Roberts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyways, oh, fuck me. Justice League. God fucking damn it.
Speaking of
I am
movies that have been
so
reshot 1,000 times.
fucking exhausted. Let me die. Just stop. Please. Like, I can't be around the social and like the environment that is like entertainment, news, and all this stuff where we have to discuss DC movies. I can't. Just stop talking about Batman vs Superman. Just stop talking about Man of Steel. I can't. It's not worth your time. Oh my fucking god. Someone say something about Justice League before I just keep rambling on.
Jason
Ah.
Momoa.
Shit. Yeah, Jason Momoa's good. He's good. I like him.
I'll watch his parts of the movie.
He's gonna come out of that water. He's gonna be all wet, and his hair's gonna be all over the
Apparently,
place.
the
my
movie's
God.
not gonna be stupidly long like Batman v Superman.
true.
It's like an average movie length. It's actually, I think, the shortest DC movie yet.
What does that mean? Like 2.5, 2:20?
It's an hour and 50.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's what I saw anyway.
For all that content we've seen in the trailer.
Okay.
So yeah, look, man, I know a lot of DC fanboys. I've talked to them about.
Oh, I can't do it.
And like,
I think it's the circle of people I communicate on the internet. I just can't. Okay. Yeah.
and like, I want it to be good. Like people always like, oh Ryan, you're a Marvel fanboy, whatever. Like that's fine, but like I like DC movies too. But like I can't look at this and know the history of it and in any way think it will be anything less than bad. Like, am I crazy here? Like, have you seen the trailer? It looks like a hot mess.
Everything about
what the hell's going on?
Everything about it looks like a hot mess. Oh, God.
Who the hell is Steppenwolf? Why would I care? Why would they choose Steppenwolf? Oh, that's the villain. Steppenwolf. Darkseid's cousin?
What did you say?
Isn't Steppenwolf a band?
It's also...
It's also a villain?
It's also the villain.
Like Slipknot.
Yeah. No, I'm dead serious. Steppenwolf is the villain of the movie. It's Darkseid's cousin.
I don't know what any of that.
That sounds like a joke.
Yeah, I know. You know Darkseid.
I know Darkseid, but you saying it's Darkseid's cousin.
Yeah.
You know it's fucking Darkseid's
Actually,
cousin.
it might be his uncle.
Oh, okay. That's even better. Okay, his second cousin twice removed. Okay.
Yeah, it's stupid. This movie's gonna be bad.
Oh, fuck me.
every
I
trailer looks bad.
I can't deal with this discourse, man.
People are like, the Justice League trailers look better. The trailers look better than anything.
Talk about
anyone else
fucking
has put out in
anything
years.
else. Fucking No
Everyone
Nut
just
November.
Hates,
I don't
everyone
care.
just hates good movies. They just want things to be all happy and fun. They don't want darkness in their movies. They want reality. They just want a piece of shit on the film and just watch it.
Coco is a movie coming out.
Book of Life.
Yeah, Book of Life. Hey, I didn't see the Book of Life. I wanted to see the Book of Life.
Either.
You know, what was the
I
last
like this
Pixar
one.
movie I liked?
I like the concept of this movie. Like when I read the synopsis of
Inside
it,
Out.
I was into it.
I like it too.
But the trailers don't do nothing for me.
No, it doesn't move. It looks like I'll watch it and maybe hopefully
It looks
something
like
good comes out of it.
It looks like it was the Good Dinosaur team that made this. If you know what I mean.
The B team.
The B team. Yeah.
And the Good Dinosaur. That movie really is just nothing, huh?
Yeah. I still haven't seen it.
It's nothing, man. Like there's just nothing there. That movie. It looks really. I think it's the most visually impressive Pixar movie I've seen, but it's the most like there's just nothing there. Yeah, I don't know. Disney Animation Studios is more like the A team in Disney animated films. I'd say. I don't care about Inside Out, and as much as I try to care about Inside Out, I don't care about Inside Out.
Still really like that movie.
Do you?
Very good, yeah.
I don't know. I got nothing. Inside Out was the last
Bing
thing.
Bong is a girl.
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
Yeah, he dies.
No!
George, no!
Anyways, with that,
Is that everything?
that is everything.
There's also Call Me By Your Name, which is... I've been hearing that this is like the be-all, end-all movie.
See, I'm out of the loop. I'm out of the loop. I'm out of it.
It's about this kid and this older gentleman
It's an
who
LGBT
have,
movie, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
who have a relationship.
Okay.
And I really don't know anything about
Yeah,
the
What's it
plot.
called again?
Call Me By Your Name.
Call Me By Your Name.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know much about it. All I know is every single review I've seen of it has been like, holy fuck, this is a movie that
Same here.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm interested just because I like enjoying quality films, but I don't know.
Also, Pokemon the movie I Choose You comes out.
Yeah.
Nice!
Wait, what is this, Ryan?
It's Pokemon the movie I Choose You. Basically, came out last year in Japan as like this year in Japan in the summer as like a celebration of like 20 years of the anime,
Uh-huh.
and it's basically a retelling of the first.
Okay,
like,
that's what
arc.
I thought. That's what I
So
thought.
it's Ash gets Pikachu, but there's also
fucking
like
sparrows. He gets the bike. And
But
he's like,
there's
"Oh,
also
return
like
it."
new Pokemon there, like the new ones are there.
Oh.
Ash and Misty aren't in there.
It sounds like you're rewriting history. Is what it sounds
That's
like. to
exactly
me.
what it is, and
Excuse me.
and it pissed a lot of people off.
Okay.
It's like, where's Brock? Where's Misty? Where's
The bike.
Why is that furry cat in the movie? You know, the furry cat from the new games, Incineroar.
Oh yes.
Yeah, one of the
Are there
characters.
Spearow?
There's Spearow, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Also, there's one of the new ghost legendary Pokemon follows Ash in his shadow. For some reason, look, I don't know, man. I will probably see it because I'm sad and I'm a little interested, even though I haven't watched a Pokemon movie in like 5 years.
I didn't even
They're
watch
not
that
good.
Yu-Gi-Oh movie that came out this year.
Oh yeah, one did come out this year. I didn't watch that.
I didn't watch it either. Anyways, that's an episode.
That's it.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode for October. November, I hope Murder on the Orient Express is good.
Please.
I hope all those indie movies come out in our area and
Yeah.
we end up seeing them.
Yeah, and I hope I'm getting more plugged in. Can't wait to see what the Oscar race is going to look like this
I
time.
can't wait to
Remember
crack open
La La Land?
crack open a nice LaCroix and enjoy a new hit movie. Pay me money. I have student debt.
Oh, we have fun here. Anyways,
It's terrible. It's a terrible beverage. I'll be honest.
Ryan, you're gonna lose our sponsorship. Shut up.
Movies Are Real is a podcast. Obviously, you can find us on iTunes, and if you could rate and review us there, that'd be great. Shout out to our friend Lauren who did that thing. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lauren, because she listens to the show. So thank you. You can follow me on Twitter at jcruzalvarez26. Ryan, where can people find you?
At Frying Pans on Twitter. Ryan Pans.
Send him some money, I guess.
Send me money. My PayPal is, I think Frying Pans is my PayPal. PayPal me money. I need money. I am in
Send
debt.
him LaCroix money.
Send me money for LaCroix. That's gonna be my Patreon. Give me money so I can buy LaCroix.
Okay.
Hell yeah! I just got a new $1 million idea.
Yes.
I'm quitting the podcast.
I don't need you fucking normies anymore. I got my LaCroix show I'm starting. Oh, it's terrible.
Carrie, where can people find you?
You can find me at car_E Lyles LYLES.
Change your at.
It's too late. I can't.
For Movies Are Real, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.